So tonight we're hosting our very first Elevate Your Home's Value workshop, and it's a workshop that I put together to help my past clients and any sellers or even people who don't necessarily want to sell but want to know what kind of updates and fixes would help elevate their home's value before they actually go and put money into remodeling their home. I'm excited to see how it goes. Today we're going to be hearing from Deanna Henderson. So Deanna Henderson, I've known her for over 15 years. She's a Huntington Beach native, and she has spent the past 25 years influencing in the interior design industry, and the last 20 years focused on hospitality design, and her portfolio encompasses a diverse range such as the MGM, Hard Rock hotels, Hilton, Marriott, and other boutique hotel properties. She also does residential interior design. She's going to speak a little bit about what she's seeing that are not only trends but also have longevity, things that are thoughtful updates and remodels to help you live in your home in a more functional way and also help elevate the value for resale value if you ever choose to resell it. And like I said here, whether you're contemplating a sale or just seeking to make improvements for the functionality and the aesthetics of your home, hopefully this workshop will give you guidance on what to do, what to consider, and how to go about it. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Deanna, and she's going to talk a little bit about what she put together for our presentation. Then I'll have some Q&A with her, and then everyone can jump in for some Q&A.
Great. Well, nice to meet you all. Thank you for having me.
This is to advance it.
Oh, okay. So let's just jump right in. So when you do go to sell your house, not used to the microphone. When you do go to sell your house, it is such a sensitive thing, right? You're creating a canvas for someone else to visualize their style, where we all have our memories and our style, and you could be in your house for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So then creating it for someone else is probably the most challenging thing to do. I just did this yesterday and the owner was crying. She had to walk out. But there are a ton of things that we can do over a period of time, whether you're going to sell your house or not, but you can just elevate your house. So a little about me. Beatrix already did that, so let's go into how to make your house more money, you guys more money in the end. So the smallest things can upgrade. We definitely want to do clean canvas, white interiors. We're seeing a lot of bold granite right now. Clean, just clean, and like little dramatic things. This is a good visual of just modern. There's no personal things, which is more what Beatrix and her team would walk you through. But from a design perspective, just clean, modern, even if it's traditional, just clean, simple. So the biggest things are definitely upgrading. Oh, can everyone hear me better now? Upgrading lighting, and that goes from electric mirrors in the bathroom. That's a big bang for the buck. Like, you will appreciate that so much. But then the buyer who's looking to buy your house, that is incredible. They're just blown away. The vanity could be old, the vanity could be repainted, but you've got an electric mirror in there that has all the backlighting. That's the only thing they're going to look at. Fresh paint, updating hardware. Hardware from the pulls on your kitchen cabinets, the handles on the doorknobs throughout the house. Just everything. Big things that I'm seeing right now, and I think Beatrix agrees that we are both seeing a lot of it, is in-suites. There's a big demand for in-suites, as well as powder baths. So even if you don't have that, there is, which Simon can talk more about this, where it's more of an architectural thing, but where you can split a bathroom and you can make one side turn into an in-suite and you have a smaller powder bath on the other side. I'm doing that on a property right now, and it's getting a lot more interest than the house did a couple weeks ago. Landscape's a big one. Storage, pantries. Pantries are huge right now. A lot of people are looking at pantries. How much space can they fit? Also in room size, where primary bedrooms and all bedrooms are not, the space is not the thing anymore. It's all about storage. So it's more getting a big closet, a walk-in closet, and the bedrooms are just seeing nightstands and a bed, and you're putting a dresser into the closet now. So if you have the space to do that, that's a big one. Front doors, that is an easy swap out your front door, and we're seeing a lot of color. Still doing trendy colors, no matter if your house is traditional, modern, transitional, we're still seeing bright colored front doors. Smart controls and technology. That's huge. I'm sure you guys have seen the front doors that can open with your fingerprint. Anything like that. Your house is completely smart. You can talk to everything. That's a big thing that we're seeing now in design too. Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, so some of the things that I've been seeing out in the field that I wanted to address is, for so many years we had gray, 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 white, gray, white. And I think people are so tired of that. And what I've been seeing that has a lot of impact, and I thought maybe we could talk about this a little bit, are some trends that are veering towards more rich colors, more jewel tone, more organic, more, things that aren't just such a blank gray and white slate. I think everyone's kind of sick of that palette that every property flipper did for so long. So can we talk a little bit about like kitchen countertop surfaces? What are you seeing? What types of materials? What colors? We talked a little bit about pantries. I see this a lot whenever I'm working with people that are looking. They want to see where the pantry is. If you have an opportunity to remodel your kitchen and even have a small walk-in pantry, I think that's a huge added value. Simon can talk a little bit more about logistics with things like that. But having storage where you can create a space that is minimalist and all of your stuff is put away to have this very open, airy feeling is what I see buyers seeing a lot of value in. So as far as finishes, as far as stones, little things I think make a big impact. Even if you have a marble or a granite countertop or some exotic type of stone, having a waterfall edge is one way that you can create a much higher a sense of value and elevate the property. What are some other things that you're seeing in terms of colors, styles, finishes?
I'm seeing a lot of mixed woods, a lot of combination of woods that's really just adding layers to the properties and more interest. So whether it's wood flooring and you've got maybe a wood wall that is paneled, as well as a different wood in the kitchen, that's becoming a big trend. Really dark, dramatic granites and stones in both the bathrooms and the kitchens. What else am I seeing? The pantry is a big thing. Those are pretty much the big ones.
So pantry space, dark, dramatic, jewel-toned finishes are things that look more fresh now than this whitewashed gray, everything we've seen that kind of all looks the same. You're seeing a lot of dramatic granite.
Lots of dramatic granite, where the granite is really, the stone is the star of the show.
And I would say, people ask me this all the time, if I'm going to put money into my house, where should I put it? And kitchens and bathrooms sell homes. Of course, if you've got a roof that needs work or foundation, those are big, scary things to anyone who's buying a house, so you want to address those. But for the most part, it's like makeup. The things that people see that they have a emotional connection with are going to engage them with that home. And kitchens and bathrooms, you don't want someone walking into your home and going, oh, I have to spend $50,000 redoing the kitchen. Another thing that I've been seeing that I wanted to touch on are, like, I've seen some really cool, like, and I think it's probably not very expensive to do, but like a molding accent wall that's in like a accent color. Are you seeing that too?
Molding accent walls in colors, not white anymore, which the white was pretty popular in the early 2000s. And then wood, lots of different wood where it's maybe a molding and it's like a detailed molding that creates a design on your headboard wall or your living room wall. Like dark, deep blues, blacks, very dramatic.
Yeah. And I think what we're seeing and what will stay on, not so on trend that it's going to be outdated soon, but I think it's going to have longevity, is something that adds elegance to your home. Where everything was so plain and whitewashed for so long, I think people are wanting to gravitate towards something that feels a little bit luxe, whether that's in the choice of a color tone, whether that's the choice of, you know, additional molding. Little things can create a big impact in terms of making something feel a little bit more elevated. What are you seeing in terms of, you know, kitchen trends, backsplashes? Are people still doing the big farmhouse sinks? I know one of the homes that you're doing right now, you're doing a conversation pit, which is so cool.
And I should have brought pictures of that. That's amazing.
And I feel like there's this gravitation towards kind of 70s aesthetic because it feels warm and welcoming. Are you seeing that as well?
Yes, absolutely. And that house specifically, we're doing a lot of built-in planters inside of the house. Just bringing that outdoors in, which we've seen years before, but this is definitely a different way and definitely reflecting back on the 70s.
Yeah, so I think the biggest takeaway from this is storage to make it as minimal as possible, things that emphasize the space and how open it can be, and then finishes that help elevate it, along with creating storage like pantries, bigger walk-in closets, and reconfiguring the space. I would also say dual vanity is something that I hear a lot of people talk about. So if you have a bathroom and you have the opportunity to create a dual vanity, that's a very big added value in a lot of buyers' eyes.
And if you don't have the space, but you do have a little bit of space, but let's say not enough to do 2 sinks, a trend right now is also doing half a makeup vanity, where it drops down a little bit, or maybe it's even just the space, but treating it like a true makeup vanity with a little stool, but you don't have the space to do complete plumbing, or maybe you don't have the access or the money. That's a better way to do it too. Still appearing to the potential buyer that it's much larger.
One other thing I wanted to touch on, we've been spending so much time talking about kitchens and bathrooms. Let's talk about outdoor spaces. I know for so long having kind of like a native or kind of desert plants was really in here. What are you seeing right now as trends?
I'm seeing, I don't know my plants well enough to discuss this, but more plants that have like big palms and just like big, like the big oversized that just fill up your yard.
Yeah. So kind of,
which is more lush, like a more lush look, like a jungle lush look.
Those are all my questions. Does anyone have questions for Deanna regarding any design aspects?
What trends are you seeing on flooring? Is it still the white oak, or what are people?
I'm seeing a lot warmer woods, like more golden, mahogany and golden, yeah.
Oh yeah, it was like
Yes.
I see it says no gas stoves. Are you doing the what is it called?
The induction?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that
a lot of that is, yeah, just to keep the pollutions out of your house. Yeah.
Well, and it's a cleaner surface.
Absolutely. Yes.
What are you seeing for fireplaces? Electric, gas, or wood?
I'm seeing wood burning still, which is interesting because that kind of goes against that. But I've seen all of it. Like, I don't think that that's really that hard of a trend right now. Kind of more unique. But that's a great question.
And then what about like garage conversion spaces? You know, like if somebody has a garage that they want to do something with, but they're not sure what. Are you seeing like something that's bringing value, like a home gym or an office space? Or
I am seeing a lot of home gyms. I haven't seen an ADU in a garage yet, but I am seeing home gyms. I'm just seeing like cleaner garages where I think We had a lot of storage before. Now I'm seeing them like cleaned out, and it's just really simple. Seen a lot of disco balls in garages too, which is random, but a lot of requests for disco balls in garages lately, where people I think are entertaining there, you know, so you're popping up your garage and you've got beanbag chairs and you're hanging out and you're watching your kids or you're having people over for wine. Like I'm seeing a lot of that style.
What are some current kitchen backsplash trends that you're seeing?
I'm seeing it all the way up, and then I'm seeing a lot of floating, like chunky floating shelves, but in the same stone instead of wood.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So open shelving is still something that you're seeing a lot of. Okay.
But a combination, not just open shelving.
Okay. So open shelving with backsplash going all the way up. That I think all of this is all lending itself to kind of a luxe feel is what I'm really seeing.
So we talked a lot about, you know, the details of home, but, you know, I've been an architect for a long time, and, you know, we tend to look at things from kind of really high level and drill down to nitty gritties. But before we go into all that, let me just give you a little bit of my bona fide so that you feel like I know what I'm talking about. So let's get into this. I'll blow through this real quick. So I've been a kind of commercial, institutional architect all my life, right? When Beverly Hills does their public works building, this is what they look like, right? This happens to be their water treatment facility and their public works office. I've done some work for universities. This is right next to Poly Pavilion in UCLA, their athletic training facility. I didn't know until this project that UCLA had their own brick, right? So at the time, this was the largest airport in Asia, right? So some transportation work, very complex technical projects. Banks, bank headquarters, law enforcement facilities. This is in Santa Monica, city of Santa Monica. That's in Carson City, Nevada. That's a LAPD 911 call center. That's the safest building in the world, right? High rises, this is mostly in Texas. And my architectural career sort of came to a turning point with this project, which is a project that I ran as a developer. I kind of decided to switch gears and turn myself into a developer and took on this project until the subprime mortgage meltdown happened. So the project never got done. And then I got into a situation where I kind of had to revisit my career and really figure out what I really wanted to do. And this is what I wanted to do, homes. I wanted to do homes. I flew around the world doing architectural work, but this is where my passion was. This is a property that happens to be in on Campo in Naples. And you know, when you do this work, we go through different iterations, and then you end up with this. First day of open house, second person that walked into the house said, lock the door, I'm buying this house, right? So when things like that happen, it kind of makes you go, oh, maybe I'm doing something right. This is in Rancho Estates. Anybody, I met somebody from Rancho. Wonderful clients, very tiny house, unlivable as you can see. If you ever been to one of these cliff maze, this pony wall behind it, I'm sorry, excuse me, is their entire kitchen, laundry. It was fine back then, but you know, 60, 70 years later, it doesn't really work. So what we've done is we've done something that is kind of seamless. When you drive by this house, it's original. It's not an added-on house. Of course, I added on to it. But this house, we've only added 300 square feet to it, but we had 50 people in this house with kids running around on a New Year's Eve party, and it was working just fine, right? So we can do things to homes, but the reason why you are here today is because you want to learn how to maximize the value of your house. Well, it's a tough question because it's not so easy, right? There are a lot of great ideas, and all those things will add value to your house, right? But, you know, people ask me, should I put in a pool or should I put in a new kitchen, right? Well, pool, these questions that people generate, you can find answers online, right? So if I punch up pool versus kitchen, it will tell you in LA County, the pools at maybe $95,000, whereas in Orange County, only $45,000. Well, you know, so how do you make sense of that? Or somebody will say it adds 5 to 8% of value. But to put in a new pool, it costs about 100 minimum these days. So it won't pay. You put in 100, you'll be lucky if you get your 100 back out, right? So there, from my vantage point, there is no reliable formula because there's too many variables. There's too many variables like market level. Are you a homeowner in a $500 per square foot market, or are you a homeowner in a $1,000 per square foot market? Depending on where you are, you can put a nice fresh coat of paint and make the house more appealing to a $500 per square foot buyer, whereas you may have to do something more drastic when you're in a little higher end market. And it also makes difference when it's buyer's market or seller's market. In a seller's market, people will just gobble up anything, right? In a buyer's market, you got to not compete with other properties. So what do you do then? And the conditions of the existing structure. Has the home been maintained and updated in the last 20 years? Or has it been just sitting there getting worn out, like my house, for the last 25? Right? So my son calls our house the ugliest house on the block. Sorry. So in a bigger picture, when you look at capital investment into your home, you kind of have to think about the cost you're about to put in this term. All right. There's a lifestyle cost. Oh, I want a new movie room, right? Versus my house needs a new AC and the kitchen is 50 years old. That's maintenance cost. So there's costs that are going in as a kind of upkeep maintenance, which you put in, you will never get it back out. But those were costs that should have been factored into your living anyways. Right? So that's really not an investment. But when you make investment, it's usually at a lifestyle cost. I want a bigger house, right? I want a pool. I want a nice garden with a conversation pit, right? So these are lifestyle costs. So you have to kind of think about your investment or costs, the money you're spending into your property in these terms. And when you put money in here, you're not going to get that back. Right? New roof after 30 years, that's a maintenance cost, right? So key to adding, maximizing return on your value in the end, when it's all said and done, is your house has to be a good house. How many of you, when you bought your homes or shop for your home, walk into a house and go, oh my God, why have they done this to this? This is the weirdest thing ever. You've all seen this. People do crazy things to their houses. My uncle called me and said, put in a bedroom here. Well, then you get rid of the window in that other bedroom you got. Well, it's okay. Well, uncle, you're gonna turn that other bedroom you got into a large closet if you don't have a window. So people do this, right? So this is where we come in, we the professionals, right? So I was successful in stopping my uncle from making that big mistake. So adding value isn't just putting money into the existing square feet. You kind of have to think outside of your existing square feet. For instance, just cowboy math. You're in a 1,000 square foot market, which is most of Long Beach now. It costs about $500 to $600 per square foot to add a square foot to it. So every square foot you add, what do you get? $400 of equity, right? So you have to start to think about, if I really want to add value and my house is 50 years old, needs a lot of upkeep, what if I added a bunch of square feet to it, and with that equity, I put it back into the existing house as a maintenance cost? Then you're wash, right? There's really no money out of your pocket. Is that right? So those are the kind of things, kind of math work that you have to do. And I can tell you that I think about these things because I'm an architect that kind of did construction, development work, and so I kind of have a pretty good sense of the whole building business of building. So when you start to gather consultants and professionals and try to get advice on what to do, you're going to run into one of these people, right? So this is kind of some key points I want you to kind of think about when you hire architects. Anybody know who Frank Gehry is? Frank Gehry is the architect that did the Disney concert hall. As he got older, he became kind of provocative. And one day he said something, it was at a press conference or something like that. He says, I don't know why people hire architects and tell them what to do. Right? When architects just draw what you tell them to do, they're draftspeople, right? So when I started my career in San Francisco, I went to work for a small firm because I get to do a lot more than if I went to a bigger firm. My first project was this giant house down in the Silicon Valley. The lady of the house came in, covered the conference table with cutouts from Sunset Magazine. Sunset Magazine was a big deal back then. And I sat there, listened to her for an hour, and what I was able to conclude from everything she told me what she wanted was that every room had to be next to the kitchen, right? So to make that work, I literally have to have a circular house around the kitchen, right? It doesn't work. But from architect's standpoint, what we do, this is where we add our value to you, is what is her real problem? Her real problem is that she's alone in the kitchen. So what's the solution? Energize the kitchen so that everybody's in the kitchen. Problem solved, right? So that is kind of the thing that we bring to the table, good architects that you will eventually hire. We're concerned with aesthetics, technology, regulations, legality, sociology and psychology, finance, economy, and everything else. We're concerned with everything about your life, right? So we have to think about everything that you don't so that we solve the problem that you have with architectural languages, the myriad of vocabularies that we have. So when you come to my website, there's nothing there because I'm not selling photographs. I'm selling a solution specific to your problem, and that cannot be photographed. So that's the story I was telling you about. I'll tell you one more story. Architects charge money to do their work, and a lot of people have a hard time paying it. But I always say, when my client asks me, Simon, how much does it cost to draw that sheet of drawing? And I said, it doesn't take that much time at all. Well, why are you charging me so much money? And I asked them back, how much do you think it takes a typist to type up a novel. We're novelists. We're not typists, right? So this is where our value is. So when you get this right, that's where you get your value. That's where the value of your property goes up. Because when people walk in, close the door, I'm buying this house. That's where you want to get to, right? So, lastly, this is a pretty serious business, right? We may be talking about your closets and kitchens and whatnot and what kind of tile we're going to choose, but I've seen buildings fall down. I've seen people get seriously hurt. This is life safety work. So the oral examination for my licensing, it took me 3 men interrogating me for 2 hours, where I drank the entire pitcher of water. And the ethics portion of our testing is very, very serious. It's as difficult as that of a doctor. So when you meet an architect, you will know if the man is serious or not. And you will want to engage professionals that take their work seriously, where they're not just drawing what you want them to draw. Contractor, also serious business, right? Contractor, the terminology is kind of weird, isn't it? Right? It's contract. It really should be constructor. Because when we draw drawings, we can't draw every nuts and bolt. It just economically doesn't make sense. What we draw is design intent. It explains, it's like a little manual of this is what I want. And it is Mr. Contractor's job to figure out the means and methods of how to build it. So today's contractors, we have a lot of very difficult time working with because they're so focused on change orders. They go in low and they through myriad of change orders, they make whole at the end, and the process becomes very, very difficult. Sometimes it goes over the amount of money you have allocated for your project, which makes the project really, really hard. The other thing that a lot of people run into is during construction, the contractor seems to own the ears of the owners. Oh, if you do this, you can get money back. Or if you do that, I can give you this break. A lot of times what happens is you get 50 cents on the dollar back, right? You have to talk to your architect. Architects are your advocates. Contractors are interested in profit most of the times. But it is rarely you will find contractors who are serious people doing serious business. And those are the people that you want to engage. But so if you kind of have this kind of understanding, and when you talk to your contractors, you can start to sift them out, right? Lastly, we're back to this. So how to maximize return on your investment? This is how you do it. Get a sound advice from pros you can trust so that you can set a realistic goal and have a hard budget set, because I'm not going a dime over this budget, and that's where I'm gonna get my project done with. Good people will tell you, if your budget is $300,000, let's set aside $30,000 and let's work to $270,000 for unknowns, right? So that's how you want to work through your project. And these people will answer all your questions so that you can make informed decisions. And lastly, the right answer may not always be the one you want to hear. There are people who will tell you things that you don't want to hear, and those may be the right answer. So don't discount them, or don't just side with people who tells you what you want to hear. Oh, I can do that for that money, right? Really? Right. So the goal is to take a house like this. My client bought this house in Palms for $900,000. That's what it's worth today. She spent $700,000 with me. Her money in was 1.6. Now it's this. It was, I think this is kind of low because it's running at about $1,000 per square foot. And I know it's a lot more than $1,000 per square foot in near Venice. So this is kind of things that I think you have to start to look at when you really want to add serious value. But again, it depends on the market you're in, the condition of your house, and your budget. All these things have to be factored in to figure out what kind of project you want to do. With that, I think I ran a lot longer than I had hoped. Thank you.
I'd like to open up for a Q&A with Deanna and Simon. So I'd like to bring Deanna up here, and anyone that has any questions for either of them, please, let's go.
And then I'm going to cut it off in 15 minutes so that you guys can actually one-on-one talk. So you have like 15 minutes to talk before 8 too. So
Perfect.
30 minutes left, 15 if that's.
Perfect. Any questions for Simon or Deanna? ADUs. So
ADUs.
I'll let you take this, Simon.
Go ahead on the
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I hate ADUs. I think it's the wrong solution for our housing problems, but it's okay. It is the way things go.
That seems to be the theme. Can I speak to that? Yeah. So I definitely think there's a big value add for ADU. Where I think you have to draw the balance is, how much am I spending on this ADU? Is it going to enhance my current life in the house, or am I just putting in an ADU for added value? I don't see the value there yet where you build an ADU for a few $100,000 and it elevates your value by a few $100,000. I'm not seeing that there yet, but I do think that if you have a use for it and you can use it in a functional way, it does add value. But I would probably, at this point, discourage someone from adding an ADU solely for the value of it, what I've seen in the market. Does that make sense?
That's a real good point. I did 2 ADUs, one in West LA, just south of Santa Monica Airport, and another one in Echo Park. They're identical plans, right, with different roofs. 1,200 square feet, very efficient design. All the water elements are stacked up in one end of the house. The thing of it is, it cost them 5 years ago $340,000 to do. As soon as it was approved, occupancy permit issued, that unit at that time rented out for $3,600 in West LA. It is now fetching $5,400, right? So if you are intent on renting it, yes, by all means.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. But it also, you have to consider the market you're in. What kind of revenue does it generate? Because the construction cost here versus West LA is same, right? But I don't think we can command that kind of money in Long Beach, with the same unit, maybe 3,000. But the construction cost of that today is a little bit higher than what it was 5 years ago. So it's all math, right? So before you go on and contemplate these things, gotta talk to folks, pros who know the business and what it will do for you. But if you want to add, like this other client in Glassell Park, mid-century home, they had a garage, they wanted to convert it for guests from France, right? Perfectly fine. Added 400 square foot of habitable space, very cheap to do, right? Compared to, because you're just converting these existing garage, so the cost is minimal. And you added 400 square feet to your $1,000 per square foot market, right? at an expense of about $250 total, and that was really nicely done, right? A lot of good material because they wanted it. So you don't have to spend $250 per square foot to convert a garage, but it does actually take a little more than what people think. So just beware when guys say, oh no, I can do that for 70. It's really not like that.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions on ADUs for their particular property, talk to me. We can help run through the numbers if it's for rental income or if it's for something where you might have a family member staying with you and want to know what that would maximize your resale value for, or you just want to know what the numbers would look like crunching it for a rental. I can help you with any of that. Yes.
Hiding an ugly ADU that is built next to your house that gives you more privacy. Any design or aesthetic ideas?
Is this your neighbor? So her neighbor built an ugly ADU next to her house, and she wants to Oh, that's right.
I know. I'm sorry that happened.
You only see it from your backyard?
Talk to your landscape guy to throw up some trees. I don't know. AD regulation, I have a lot that I disagree with, but it is what it is. They're trying to figure out a way to kind of supply this housing shortage. I'm not sure if it's actually doing anything to it, but it's a problem.
Architectural solutions, like things that look nice in a backyard.
Yeah, maybe Deanna.
You could do like an iron awning, and then fill it with plants, like hanging plants, and cover it with plants so it just looks lush, but it's going to block that. And when you're out there hanging out in the backyard, you can have a seating arrangement and you're kind of protected from that. That's what I would suggest. You can show me pictures after this and I'll look at it and let you know.
Any other questions? No? Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate your time. Feel free to hang out for a little bit. We've got the space until 8 o'clock. There's still some appetizers and wine, and I appreciate you guys coming out. My card is in the packet that everyone got. There's a little QR code. If you ever have any questions on anything, whether you're selling or never selling, I'm here to help you. I'm here to be a resource. And other than Deanna, Simon, we have hundreds of different vendors that we can connect you with if you need any help with anything. I want to be a resource for everyone. So thank you. So I'm really happy with how everything turned out. We had a full house for our first event like this. I was so pleased to see the turnout, and we got some really great tips, trends, ideas, solutions from Deanna Henderson. We got a very in-depth, very educational presentation from Simon Park, who is an architect and a contractor. And I think that our guests got a lot of value from this. It was really exciting for me to connect with a lot of people who might have questions, and I encourage them and anyone else to reach out anytime you have questions about what might add value to your home.